The metallic disc descended through Earth's atmosphere with unnerving precision, its surface rippling like liquid mercury under the morning sunlight. General Martinez stood beside Dr. Elena Morgan on the Nevada military base's landing pad, both squinting against the desert glare. "Remind me why I'm here again?" Elena muttered, brushing a strand of auburn hair from her face. Her combat systems expertise made her valuable to the military, but alien diplomacy wasn't in her job description. "Because if what this Krell warrior claims is true, his combat technology could revolutionize our defensive capabilities," Martinez replied. "And you're the best person to verify that claim." The ship settled silently on the tarmac, its hull cooling instantly despite the atmospheric entry. A seam appeared along its side, widening to reveal a tall figure silhouetted against bright interior light. Commander Vex of the Krell Empire stood nearly 7 feet tall, his broad shoulders tapering to a narrow waist. His skin had a faint blue-gray sheen that shifted with his movements, while intricate patterns, possibly clan markings or rank insignia, traced across his exposed arms. Most striking were his eyes, silver irises with vertical pupils that focused with predatory intensity. "I bring greetings from the High Council," Vex announced, his voice unexpectedly melodic despite its depth. His English was perfect with only the slightest accent, and a proposition. Elena felt a chill despite the desert heat. Something in his gaze seemed to linger on her longer than necessary. Martinez stepped forward. "We've received your transmission, Commander. Your challenge is unusual." Vex smiled, revealing teeth that seemed too sharp for comfort. "My people believe true value must be earned, General. The combat systems integrated into my armor represent our finest military technology. I will not simply give it away. It must be claimed through honorable combat." "So we defeat you and the tech is ours?" Elena couldn't help asking. Vex turned toward her and Elena felt a sudden intensity in his attention. "Precisely, Dr. Morgan. One champion, one battle. Should your champion prove victorious, I am," he paused almost imperceptibly, "yours." The phrasing struck Elena as odd, but she dismissed it as a translation issue. "And if we lose?" Martinez asked. "I return to the stars and you remain as you are," Vex shrugged. "You risk nothing but pride." Later in her lab, Elena examined the specifications Vex had provided. The adaptive armor alone was decades beyond Earth's technology, perhaps centuries. Its neural response capabilities would transform warfare if integrated into Earth's defense systems. "Penny for your thoughts," the voice startled her. Vex stood in the doorway, having somehow bypassed security without alerting anyone. "How did you get in here?" Elena demanded. "Your guards are competent but predictable." He moved with liquid grace across her lab, examining her equipment with curious eyes. "You're designing a way to defeat me." "That's the challenge, isn't it?" Indeed, he picked up a prototype gauntlet she'd been working on. Interesting approach. As he reached past her to replace it, his arm brushed hers. Elena felt an electric sensation at the contact, and Vex paused, his silver eyes locking with hers. "There is more to this challenge than technology, Elena Morgan," he said softly. "Much more." Before she could question him further, he was gone, leaving nothing but a lingering scent of ozone and spice, and the unsettling feeling that she'd just entered a game whose rules she didn't fully understand. "Again," Captain Jackson Reed commanded, circling Elena as she picked herself up off the training mat for what felt like the 100th time that morning. Sweat dripped from her forehead, muscles burning with exertion. "I'm an engineer, not a soldier," Elena groaned, resuming her fighting stance despite the protest of her aching body. "And yet you're the one who has to face that alien," Jackson reminded her, fainting left before sweeping her legs out from under her again. "The general chose you because you understand the tech. I'm just here to make sure you don't die using it." The prototype combat suit Elena had developed hugged her body like a second skin, its neural interfaces learning her movements with each training session. Inspired by Vex's specifications, but modified with her own innovations, it was humanity's best hope against Krell technology. "His fighting style relies on predictive algorithms," Elena explained, reviewing holographic footage of Vex's demonstration matches against military personnel. None had lasted more than 30 seconds. "He anticipates movement patterns before they happen." "So be unpredictable," Jackson suggested, tossing her a water bottle. Easier said than done against someone whose species has evolved for warfare. The lab door hissed open, and Alina's heart skipped despite herself. Vex entered with that peculiar liquid grace that made him seem like he was gliding rather than walking. "Captain Reed," Vex acknowledged with a nod before his silver eyes fixed on Alina. "I see you're making progress, Dr. Morgan." "Spying on the competition?" Jackson asked, stepping protectively closer to Alina. Vex's mouth curved in what might have been amusement. "Merely curious about human adaptive capabilities. Your species compensates for physical limitations with remarkable ingenuity." "Was that a compliment or an insult?" Alina asked. "An observation," Vex replied, moving closer to examine her prototype suit. His fingers hovered near her shoulder, not quite touching but close enough that Alina could feel the strange heat radiating from his skin. "Interesting modifications to the neural mapping. Your understanding of our technology is impressive." Jackson cleared his throat. "If you're done with your observations, we have training to complete." "Of course," Vex stepped back, but his eyes remained on Alina. "I look forward to our challenge, Dr. Morgan. It grows more intriguing by the day." After he left, Jackson frowned. "Is it my imagination, or is he fixated on you specifically?" Alina hesitated, then moved to her workstation, pulling up ancient Krell texts she'd been translating. "I found something strange in their cultural database. The combat ritual he's proposed, it has another meaning in Krell society." The holographic text illuminated the space between them, showing elaborate illustrations of armored Krell warriors in ceremonial combat. "The Krell don't just fight for technology or territory," Alina explained. "Their combat traditions are deeply intertwined with their mating rituals." Jackson's eyes widened. "Are you saying?" "I'm saying there might be more to this challenge than he's telling us." Alina swiped through more texts. "In Krell tradition, a warrior seeking a mate from another clan or, theoretically, species would issue a challenge. If defeated, they would belong to their conqueror, not as property, but as a partner." "That's insane. Why would he?" "I don't know," Alina admitted, though her mind flashed to the way Vex's eyes followed her, the strange intensity of his attention. "Maybe I'm misinterpreting their customs." Later that night, alone in her quarters, Alina was startled by a soft chime from her computer. A message glowed on the screen, coordinates and a time, signed with the symbol she recognized as Vex's personal mark. Against her better judgment, she found herself on the base's observation deck at midnight. Vex stood silhouetted against the star-filled desert sky, his tall form unmistakable. "You came," he said without turning. "I have questions," Alina replied, stepping beside him. "About the true nature of our challenge?" Vex turned to face her, silver eyes reflecting starlight. "You've been studying our traditions." "Is this really just about technology?" Alina asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Vex moved closer, his presence enveloping her like a physical force. "The challenge is real, Alina Morgan, but so is the reason I chose Earth, chose you. In 7 days, when we meet in combat, you will understand everything." His hand raised slowly, hesitating before gently brushing a strand of hair from her face, the touch sending an electric current down her spine. "Until then," he murmured, "prepare well for both our sakes." Alina sat cross-legged on her lab floor, surrounded by holographic projections of Krell texts and combat footage. For 6 days, she had immersed herself in understanding everything about Vex and his people. With the challenge only 24 hours away, she needed certainty. The lab door slid open, and Alina didn't need to look up to know who it was. Only one person moved with that distinct, soundless grace. "Your security systems are improving," Vex noted, stepping into the circle of light cast by her projections. "It took me almost 3 minutes to bypass them this time." "I wasn't trying to keep you out," Alina replied, finally looking up at him. "I wanted to see if you'd come." Vex's expression shifted subtly, a ripple of surprise across his alien features. He studied the projections surrounding her, ancient Krell marriage rituals, combat ceremonies, pair bonding customs. "You've been thorough in your research," he said quietly. Alina stood, closing the distance between them. "No more games, Vex. I know what this challenge really means in your culture," she gestured to the texts. "This isn't just about technology, it's a courtship ritual. If I defeat you tomorrow, by Krell tradition, we would be bonded." For the first time since his arrival on Earth, Vex's composure faltered. Something vulnerable flickered in those silver eyes. "You understand our language better than I anticipated." "Why me?" Alina demanded. "Of all humans, of all planets, why come here with this challenge?" Vex moved to the window overlooking the desert night, his profile sharp against the darkness. "Krell warriors possess a sense beyond your human understanding. We call it KHFY, the ability to sense a compatible life bond across vast distances." He turned back to her. "I felt you, Alina Morgan, from 16 light-years away, a mind that called to mine, a spirit that matched my own in strength and determination." "That's impossible," Alina whispered, though something deep within her resonated with his words. "Is it?" Vex approached slowly, deliberately. "Since my arrival, have you not felt it? The connection between us that defies explanation, the way your pulse quickens when I enter a room?" He was close enough now that she could see the faint luminescence beneath his skin, pulsing in time with his heartbeat. "Your human scientists would dismiss it as chemistry or psychology, but my people know better. We call it destiny." Alina steadied herself against her workstation. "So tomorrow's challenge is what? Just a formality? You've already decided I'm your mate?" "No," Vex said firmly. "The challenge is real. The choice must be earned, not given. If you defeat me, you gain both our technology and the right to claim me as your bonded, or to refuse me entirely. The decision would be yours alone. And if I lose, then I return to the stars with both my technology and my dignity intact." His mouth curved in that now familiar, almost smile. "Though I admit the prospect has become increasingly unappealing." Alina turned away, processing the implications. The military expected her to acquire alien technology. They knew nothing of Krell mating customs or the potential personal consequences of victory. "You should have told me from the beginning," she said finally. "Would you have accepted the challenge if I had?" Vex countered. Alina couldn't answer. The truth was, she didn't know. Vex moved behind her, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his body. "There is one more thing you should understand about tomorrow," he said, his voice dropping to a rumble that she felt more than heard. "In Krell tradition, the combat between potential mates is not just a test of strength or skill." "What is it then?" Alina asked, turning to face him. "It is a dance," he said, raising his hand to hover near her cheek, not quite touching. "A conversation between bodies when words are insufficient. Tomorrow, Alina Morgan, we will truly know each other." Their eyes locked, the air between them charged with possibility. Alina's research had revealed enough about Krell physiology to understand the changes in his eyes, the faint luminescent patterns appearing on his skin, signs of attraction, of desire. "And if I decide that I want both the technology and you?" The question escaped her lips before she could reconsider. Vex's pupils dilated, the silver of his irises brightening. "Then the stars themselves would envy what we could become together." He stepped back, restoring the space between them with obvious effort. "Rest well, Alina. Tomorrow demands your full strength." He moved toward the door, then paused. "Whatever you decide after our combat, know that you have already changed me in ways I never anticipated." After he left, Alina remained motionless, her mind racing with possibilities both terrifying and exhilarating. Tomorrow, she would face an alien warrior in combat, and possibly determine the course of her future in ways she had never imagined. The prototype suit waited on its stand, gleaming in the low light. With newfound resolve, Alina returned to her preparations, understanding now that she was designing not just for victory, but for a conversation her body would have with his, a conversation that might change everything. The arena, converted from a military testing facility, hummed with tense anticipation. High-ranking officials filled the observation deck, while tactical analysts monitored banks of screens displaying vital signs and combat metrics. General Martinez paced the command platform, his gaze alternating between the empty arena floor and the countdown timer. Alina stood in the preparation chamber, technicians making final adjustments to her combat suit. The neural interface hummed against her skin, already synchronizing with her nervous system. "Remember, your objective is to disable his primary armor functions without triggering defensive protocols," Jackson reminded her, checking her equipment one final time. "You've studied his movements. You know his patterns." Alina nodded, though they both knew this was only partially true. She had studied Vex extensively, but something told her the Krell warrior would fight differently today. This wasn't just combat, it was communication. "Good luck out there," Jackson said, clasping her shoulder. "And Alina," he hesitated, "whatever happens between you and that alien afterward is none of my business, but make sure it's what you want, not what you feel obligated to do." She smiled gratefully. "I know what I'm doing." "I hope so," he replied, not entirely convinced. The chamber doors parted, and Alina walked into the arena, her footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. Across the circular space, another door opened to reveal Vex in his full combat regalia, sleek armored plates flowing like liquid metal over his tall frame, his face partially obscured by a helmet that seemed to be part of his very being. General Martinez's voice boomed through the speakers. "This demonstration will determine the viability of integrating Krell combat technology with Earth defense systems. The challenge will conclude when one participant is rendered immobile or concedes." Alina and Vex approached the center of the arena, stopping 10 paces apart. Vex's helmet retracted partially, revealing those silver eyes that now seemed to hold galaxies within them. "Alina Morgan," he said, his voice pitched for her ears alone, "may your strength honor us both today." "Let the challenge begin," Martinez announced. Vex moved first, a blur of motion that human eyes could barely track. Alina's combat system flashed warnings as she dodged, her enhanced reflexes barely keeping pace. His first strike brushed past her shoulder, the near miss deliberate rather than failed. He was testing her, she realized, learning her movements just as she was learning his. Alina countered with a sequence of attacks designed to probe his defenses. Each motion brought them closer together, then apart, a rhythm emerging between them. The neural interface hummed against her skin, adapting to his patterns as she adapted to his. "Your movements are unexpected," Vex said during a momentary separation. "You fight with both logic and intuition." "I'm full of surprises," Alina replied, launching into a complex maneuver that momentarily broke through his guard, her hand grazing the control node at his shoulder. The contact sent a shock through both their systems, data transferring between their suits in an unexpected synchronization. For a fraction of a second, Alina felt what Vex felt: admiration, excitement, desire. The sensation was overwhelming. They separated, circling each other with new awareness. The military observers noted the change in fighting style but couldn't understand what Alina now knew. This wasn't just combat anymore. It was a dance, intimate and revealing. With each exchange, their movements became more fluid, more connected. Alina found herself anticipating Vex not through calculation, but through a growing bond that transcended the physical. Her combat system registered the changes, adapting with them rather than against them. 15 minutes in, the audience watched in stunned silence. What had begun as a demonstration of combat prowess had transformed into something more beautiful than violent. Two beings moving in impossible harmony, each strike and counter-strike revealing deeper layers of connection. In a moment of perfect synchronicity, Alina saw her opening. She moved inside Vex's guard, her hand finding the primary control node at the center of his chest plate. Their faces were inches apart, breaths mingling as her fingers executed the precise sequence that would disable his system. "I know you," she whispered, completing the final command. Vex's armor powered down, the lights dimming across its surface. He remained standing, but his systems were under her control now. By any definition, she had won. Their eyes locked in a moment of perfect understanding. Around them, the military erupted in cheers and applause, celebrating the acquisition of technology they barely comprehended. But between Alina and Vex passed a current of something much more significant than technology. "The challenge is complete," Martinez announced triumphantly. "The Krell combat system is now Earth property, as agreed." Vex never broke his gaze from Alina's as his armor slowly reactivated under her command. "Indeed," he said, loud enough for all to hear. "I am bound by my word." Then, for her ears only, "and bound to you if you will have me." As technicians swarmed forward to begin examining Vex's now accessible technology, Alina felt the weight of the moment. She had won the challenge and acquired revolutionary technology for Earth. But the true victory and the true choice still lay ahead. Vex stood before her, vulnerable in his defeat, yet somehow more powerful than ever. Tomorrow, she would have to decide whether to claim all that her victory entitled her to, both the technology and the warrior who came with it. Alina stood alone on the observation deck, watching the sunset paint the desert in shades of amber and gold. 24 hours had passed since her victory in the arena. 24 hours of debriefings, examinations, and celebrations as the military began reverse engineering Vex's combat systems. She hadn't seen him since their moment in the arena. He had been sequestered for technical analysis, while she had been lauded as a hero. Yet his presence lingered in her mind, the echo of their connection during combat impossible to forget. Dr. Morgan, General Martinez approached, his face set in diplomatic lines. The transfer of technology is proceeding well. The Krell warrior has been cooperative. His name is Vex, Alina said quietly. Martinez nodded, uncharacteristically hesitant. There's something else. Our linguistics team has been reviewing Krell cultural texts. They've discovered something about the nature of the challenge that we weren't aware of. Alina met his gaze steadily. I know about the bonding tradition, General. I've known for days. Surprise flickered across his face. Then you understand that by their customs you've entered into some kind of arrangement with him. The choice is still mine to make, she replied. Victory grants the right to choose, not an obligation. Martinez cleared his throat. Of course, the United States government doesn't recognize alien bonding rituals as legally binding. You're under no obligation to. I'd like to see him, Alina interrupted, alone. After a moment's consideration, Martinez nodded. He's requested the same. The secure room where Vex was being held looked more like guest quarters than a detention cell, a diplomatic courtesy. When Alina entered, he stood by the window, silhouetted against the last light of day. He had shed his armor, wearing only a simple dark garment that accentuated his alien physique. The victor approaches, Vex said without turning, a subtle vibration in his voice betraying emotion. Is that how you see me? As your conqueror? Alina asked, stepping closer. Vex turned, his silver eyes reflecting the sunset light. I see you as you are, Alina Morgan, brilliant, determined, beautiful in ways my people have no words for. He moved toward her with that liquid grace. The combat revealed what I already knew. We are matched in spirit. Your technology is already being integrated into our defense systems, Alina said. That part of our agreement is fulfilled. And the rest? Vex asked, stopping just short of touching her. What will you choose, Alina? The Krell bonding is not taken lightly. It is a joining of minds and bodies, a commitment that transcends mere physical attraction. Alina studied him, this alien being who had traveled across stars because something in him had recognized something in her. On Earth, we tend to date before making lifetime commitments, she said with a small smile. Date? Vex tilted his head, the gesture endearingly unfamiliar. Spend time together, learn about each other, see if we're truly compatible before making decisions that can't be unmade. Understanding dawned in his expression. A trial period for potential mates, logical. His mouth curved in that now familiar, almost smile. Though I would argue we have already learned more about each other in combat than many of your people learn in years of dating. Alina couldn't deny the truth in his words. The connection they had shared in the arena had revealed layers of compatibility that transcended verbal communication. There would be complications, she said. I have my work here, you have responsibilities to your people. The Krell Empire would value an alliance with Earth, Vex replied. And I? He hesitated, vulnerability showing through his warrior's composure. I would value a life with you, wherever that might be. He raised his hand, palm up, an offering rather than a demand. I felt you across the stars, Alina Morgan. I challenged you and you proved yourself my equal. Now I ask only for the chance to prove myself worthy of you by whatever customs your people follow. Alina looked at his outstretched hand, considering all that it represented. A future unlike anything she had imagined, filled with both uncertainty and wonder. In their combat, she had glimpsed the potential of what they could be together, two minds from different worlds finding unexpected harmony. She placed her hand in his, their fingers intertwining, human and alien yet perfectly matched. The contact sent a current through her, reminiscent of their connection in combat but deeper, more intimate. I choose both, she said, meeting his gaze. The technology and the warrior who brought it, but on my terms we take this slowly, learn each other fully. Vex's skin illuminated with patterns of joy, the bioluminescence responding to his emotions. By Krell tradition, when bondmates first connect, they share a gesture of commitment. His free hand rose to cup her cheek, the touch sending warmth cascading through her. "May I show you?" Alina nodded, her heart racing as Vex leaned down. His lips met hers in a kiss that transcended species, gentle yet electric, foreign yet familiar. In that moment, the distance between worlds seemed to vanish entirely. When they separated, Alina saw in his eyes the same wonder she felt, the recognition that something unprecedented had begun. "Tomorrow," she said, "I'll show you more of Earth, and you'll tell me about the stars you've seen." "Tomorrow," Vex agreed, "and all the days that follow." Outside the window, the first stars appeared in the darkening sky, the same stars that had guided Vex across the cosmos to find her. Whatever challenges lay ahead for a human and her alien warrior, they would face them together. A union forged in combat, sealed by choice, and bound by something that neither human language nor Krell tradition had words enough to describe. In defeating him, Alina had gained not just revolutionary technology, but a revolution of the heart, and the promise of discoveries far more profound than either of their worlds had ever known.